There are moments in life when the noise becomes too loud. The pressure to be more, to do more, to have more drowns out the quiet truths we often overlook. We scroll through timelines curated with perfection, sit in rooms where everyone seems to have it all figured out, and go to bed with that quiet whisper, I should be further by now. But tonight, I came to tell you something different, something sacred, something that your spirit needs to hear, even if your mind resists it. Congratulations, you're doing better than you think. I know that might feel like a foreign statement, maybe even one your current circumstances don't seem to support. Maybe you're measuring your progress by the wrong metrics, numbers in your bank account, the titles you haven't yet earned, the dreams still on the shelf. But there is a depth to you that statistics cannot capture. There is resilience in your being that spreadsheets cannot quantify. There is glory in your daily showing up that only eternity sees in full, and that is worth celebrating. You see, one of the greatest tragedies of this generation is not that we are failing, it's that we don't know how much we've already overcome. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you took a breath and said, I made it through that? That heartbreak you didn't think you would recover from, that diagnosis that shook the ground beneath your feet, that season of silence where your prayers felt like they fell into an empty sky, the failures, the detours, the closed doors, all of it, and yet you're still here. That's not coincidence. That's courage, that's grace, that's growth. We often associate success with speed, forgetting that there's a sacredness to process. We rush through life trying to get to the next thing, not realizing that who we become in the waiting is often more important than what we're waiting for. There's a line between striving and surrendering. One says, I must prove I am enough. The other whispers, I already am. Which one have you been living by? Because I want to speak not to the version of you that performs for applause, but to the soul of you, the part that craves rest, craves purpose, craves belonging. Let me remind you, your worth is not attached to your productivity. You are not behind, you are becoming. Let me say that again. You are not behind, you are becoming. Becoming doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it looks like holding your peace when you'd rather defend yourself. Sometimes it looks like forgiving someone who never apologized. Sometimes it looks like waking up and facing a day that feels heavier than your strength. And still, you show up. That is success. Don't let a world obsessed with highlights deceive you. Most victories are quiet. Most breakthroughs are born in hidden places. Most transformation begins with a single unseen choice to believe again, try again, love again. I've had to learn this the hard way. There were seasons I thought I had lost everything. Dreams, relationships, opportunities. I would sit in silence wondering how the pieces would ever come back together. But what I thought was breaking me was actually building me. What felt like an ending was simply a shedding, a making of room for more. Sometimes more requires less ego, less fear, less attachment to outcomes. You might feel like you've lost your way, but maybe you're being rerouted to your destiny. Don't despise the detour. Sometimes God delays what you desire because he's protecting you from a version of success that would have destroyed you. Sometimes the no is actually love. Sometimes the closed door is mercy in disguise. And even if you're not a person of faith, perhaps you can feel what I'm saying on some soul level. There is a larger narrative unfolding and you're not forgotten in it. You are not forgotten. There are people who would marvel if they knew your full story. The moments you chose integrity over convenience, the times you loved without receiving it in return, the quiet prayers you whispered for others while your own heart ached, the nights you cried and still showed up the next morning. There's a sacred beauty to your becoming. And yet I know how easy it is to focus on what hasn't happened yet, to rehearse disappointments, to carry shame for not being where you thought you'd be. But if I may ask, who told you you're not doing well? Whose standard are you measuring yourself against? And why are you believing it? If I could sit across from you right now, I wouldn't hand you a list of goals to achieve or accolades to chase. I would hand you a mirror, not to critique yourself, but to finally see yourself. To see the woman who has endured so much and still chooses to love. To see the man who keeps showing up for his family even when he feels unseen. To see the student who's juggling classes and survival. The single parent who gives when it feels like there's nothing left to give. The entrepreneur who keeps trying despite every obstacle. The leader who pours into others while wondering if anyone sees them. You are doing better than you think, because better is not about perfection. Better is about alignment. Are you aligned with your values? Are you trying your best with what you have? Are you choosing hope even when it's hard? That's better, and it deserves celebration. I want to challenge you tonight to shift how you measure your life. Don't just count the milestones, count the moments, the laughter, the healed conversations, the boundaries you're learning to hold, the days you finally said no, the days you finally said yes. We spend so much energy regretting the past or fearing the future that we forget the miracle of the present. This moment, right now, it matters. You matter. Even if no one claps, even if no one calls, even if the recognition doesn't come, you are still becoming the kind of person who will carry the weight of your calling well. But you cannot do that while constantly berating yourself for not being someone else. I want to speak especially to those of you who feel weary, who feel like your best is not enough, who feel like you're running a race with no finish line in sight. Pause, breathe, look around. There is more beauty in your life than you've allowed yourself to notice. There is more progress than your eyes have seen. There is more strength in you than your emotions will admit. You are still here, and that is no small thing. Maybe the healing is taking longer than you expected. Maybe the vision hasn't manifested yet. But just because it hasn't come to pass doesn't mean it's not on the way. Some of the most powerful things in life happen underground before they ever surface. The seed does not bloom overnight. There is purpose in your preparation. There are people who will be changed by your perseverance. There are generations that will thank you for not giving up. Your faithfulness today is planting a harvest you might not see for years, but that doesn't make it any less real. So be kind to yourself. I don't mean soft in discipline. I mean tender in perspective. Speak to yourself with the same grace you extend to others. Correct yourself, yes, but also comfort yourself. Challenge yourself, but also celebrate yourself. We don't need more self-critics. We need more self-compassion. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not defined by what didn't work out. You are not less worthy because life looks different than you imagined. You are evolving. There is so much beauty in evolution, so much power in process, so much honor in perseverance. You are doing better than you think. I want to say this especially to those of you in transition. Maybe you're moving between careers, identities, relationships, or even belief systems, and everything feels unstable, like you've left the shore but haven't found land. That's okay. In between is still sacred ground. Transitions test what you really believe. They make you confront the illusions you've lived by. They stretch your capacity to trust, to release, to surrender. But don't rush this part. There is gold in the tension. There are lessons in the waiting. There is a version of you being formed here that could not be born in comfort. Let that version rise. The future is not just waiting for you to arrive. It's being built with every decision you make in the dark, every quiet yes, every silent sacrifice, every time you choose authenticity over approval. That is how legacies are formed. That is how futures are forged. So tonight I speak over you a new narrative, one where success is not perfection, but progression. One where worth is not based on output, but on essence. One where you don't have to earn rest, you inherit it. Breathe that in and breathe out the pressure. I don't know what mountain you're facing. I don't know what private battles you're fighting, but I know this. You are not alone and you are not defeated. You are rising. You are healing. You are learning. And even when it doesn't feel like it, you are doing better than you think. So walk with your head held a little higher. Speak to yourself a little sweeter. Choose to see what's still beautiful. And when you forget everything else I've said, remember this. Congratulations. Yes, you. Congratulations, because the version of you sitting here tonight is a miracle, not a finished product, but a masterpiece in motion. You may not have arrived, but oh, how far you've come. And that, beloved, is worth celebrating. Let your life speak of grace. Let your story reflect resilience. Let your heart remain open, because the journey ahead still holds goodness, and you are more ready than you realize. So again, I say congratulations. You are doing better than you think. I see you, sitting with questions you don't have answers to, living in chapters that feel unfinished, trying to hold hope and reality in the same hand. It's a sacred tension, the space between where you started and where you long to be. And yet that space is not a void. It is a workshop, a refining place, a holy ground where character is formed, vision is clarified, and identity is revealed. It's easy to get distracted in this season, to mistake visibility for value, to think that unless it's validated by others, it doesn't matter. But there are victories that will never trend. There are breakthroughs that won't be broadcasted, and that's okay. Heaven sees, purpose sees, your future sees. You are being built in the unseen. And one day, what you carry privately will sustain you publicly. But you must stay faithful. Faithful doesn't mean perfect. Faithful means consistent. It means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means giving your best, not because someone is watching, but because integrity is who you are. We live in a world that celebrates fast outcomes, but the things that last are rarely built overnight. If you rush the process, you risk undermining the very thing that would make your success sustainable. A foundation that's rushed is one that can't carry weight. So take your time. There is no glory in burnout, no medal for exhaustion, and certainly no fulfillment in constantly performing for approval. Some of you are exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing things that are not aligned with your calling. You're pouring into cups that never pour back. You're climbing ladders leaned against the wrong walls. You're chasing applause that will never be loud enough to fill the silence inside. But you don't have to live like that anymore. You have permission to pause, to ask better questions, to choose differently, to redefine what success means to you. And in doing so, you reclaim your power, because this is your life, not a performance, not a checklist, not a race against anyone else's timeline. You are allowed to grow slow. You are allowed to heal fully. You are allowed to say, this matters to me, even if it doesn't impress others. You are allowed to want more, not out of greed, but out of alignment with who you're called to be. The journey toward wholeness is not linear. Some days you'll soar, other days you'll crawl. Both are valid, both are holy, both are progress. And if you're feeling stuck, let me gently remind you that stuck is often a sign that something deeper is trying to surface. Not everything is fixed by doing more. Sometimes the healing comes from doing less. From listening, from resting, from reevaluating the narratives you've accepted as truth. What have you believed about yourself that no longer serves you? What identities have you inherited that were rooted in survival, not authenticity? What dreams have you buried because you feared they were too big? It's time to resurrect what you thought was lost, because some dreams don't die. They wait. They wait for you to become the version of yourself who can carry them. Not with ego, but with humility. Not with desperation, but with clarity. Not to prove something, but to fulfill something. And even now, you are being shaped for that. But can I ask you to stop disqualifying yourself? Stop rehearsing all the reasons why you're not ready. Stop counting yourself out before the race has even begun. Stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You were never meant to duplicate anyone's journey. There's a lane that belongs to you, a purpose that has your name on it, a sound, a presence, a gifting that is uniquely yours. Your life carries a frequency the world has been waiting for, but you won't discover it by mimicking someone else. You'll find it in stillness, in obedience, in trial, in surrender. You'll find it when you stop chasing what's popular and start honoring what's purposeful. That might mean making unpopular decisions. That might mean walking away from familiar spaces. That might mean releasing what once served you but no longer fits. Let it go. Release doesn't always mean failure. Sometimes it means faith. Faith to believe that if something is leaving your life, it's making room for what's next. And what's next may not come with a roadmap. It may not come with immediate understanding, but it will come with peace. The kind of peace that doesn't always make sense, but always makes you whole. That peace is your compass. Follow it, let it guide your decisions, let it calm your fears, let it remind you that you are being held by something greater than your current circumstances, because you are. You are not your income. You are not your relationship status. You are not the worst thing you've ever done. You are not the best thing you've ever achieved. You are not your trauma. You are not your titles. You are more than all of it. You are a soul becoming, a story unfolding, a life that matters. And I need you to start seeing yourself that way. Because when you do, everything shifts. The way you talk to yourself changes. The boundaries you set become stronger. The opportunities you say yes to become more aligned. The people you allow access to your heart become more intentional. You stop settling. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing for existing. And you begin to live, not just survive. That kind of living will feel unfamiliar at first. It will stretch you. It will scare you. But it will also free you. Freedom doesn't come without cost. You will lose things. You will lose people. You will lose illusions. But you will gain yourself. And that is a trade worth making. So if no one has told you lately, I will, you are already enough. You do not need to become a future version of yourself in order to be worthy of love, belonging, rest, or joy. You can start living that truth now, not someday, now. You can choose to stop hiding, stop pretending, stop managing perceptions, and start honoring your own voice. You can choose healing over performance, connection over comparison, calling over clout. You can start again right here, right now, because it's never too late to return to yourself. You've spent enough time abandoning your own needs to meet the expectations of others, enough time doubting your intuition to follow the noise, enough time minimizing your desires to keep the peace. You are allowed to take up space, to live out loud, to dream again without shame. And if you ever forget how far you've come, take a moment to look back, not to dwell, but to honor the path that brought you here, the detours, the divine interruptions, the unexpected friendships, the lessons learned in tears and triumph. It all mattered. It all led you here. And here is not the end. Here is the evidence that you are still in motion, that you are still becoming, that you are still covered, even in uncertainty. So don't give up now. Don't let fatigue make you forget the vision. Don't let disappointment redefine your destiny. Don't let silence convince you that nothing is happening. Because even when it feels like nothing is changing, you are. And that change is sacred. So beloved, I'll say it again slowly this time so your spirit can catch it. Congratulations. You are doing better than you think. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are persevering. Not because you figured it all out, but because you refuse to quit. Not because the world sees your value, but because you are learning to see it for yourself. And that shift, however quiet, is everything. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are right on time. Your life is unfolding exactly as it should. So breathe, trust, celebrate your now, because even in the middle of the unknown, you're doing better than you think. And that is something to stand on. That is something to live from. And most certainly that is something to honor every single day. There's something deeply transformative about honoring the small things. We often wait for the grand moments, the award, the promotion, the milestone, to feel proud of ourselves. But if you wait for applause to affirm your progress, you'll miss the quiet victories that shaped you along the way. Like the morning you got out of bed despite the heaviness pressing on your chest. Or the time you chose to speak with compassion when anger would have been easier. The day you made a decision that honored your future, even if it cost you something in the present. The night you forgave yourself, maybe not fully, but a little more than yesterday. These are the moments that don't make headlines, but they are holy and they deserve to be seen. Not everything sacred is loud. Sometimes the most powerful growth happens in silence when no one is clapping, no one is posting about it, and yet something within you is shifting. We've been conditioned to associate visibility with impact. But what if the most meaningful impact you ever make is in the life of one person, in the healing of one wound, in the breaking of one cycle? What if the legacy you're building isn't about how many people know your name, but how deeply you showed up for the people who did? The truth is, you don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be present where it matters. We must begin to value depth over noise, substance over performance, and we must begin with ourselves. Because it's one thing to be admired by others, it's another to respect yourself. Do you respect your own journey? Do you speak to yourself like someone who is worth protecting? Do you give yourself grace to be in progress? Because progress is not always linear. Healing is not a straight road. Growth doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like grief. Sometimes it feels like loss. But every layer that falls away is making room for something more honest, something more rooted, something more you. And that becoming more yourself is the greatest success of all. There's a sacredness to authenticity, to living unmasked, to saying, this is who I am, even if your voice trembles. And when you start to live from that place, everything else begins to align. You begin to attract the right people, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. You begin to walk in your calling, not because you have it all figured out, but because you're available. You begin to see that the things you thought disqualified you were actually the very things that made you human. It's okay to be human, to feel deeply, to get it wrong, to grow slowly. This life isn't about perfection. It's about presence. The presence to notice what matters. The presence to feel what hurts. The presence to love, even when it's risky. The presence to believe, even when it would be easier not to. We are here for more than just doing. We are here for becoming, for belonging, for breaking open to joy, for anchoring in truth, for living lives that are full, not just busy. So let's stop glorifying hustle at the cost of wholeness. Let's stop idolizing burnout as proof of dedication. Let's stop sacrificing our peace for someone else's approval. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to recalibrate. You are allowed to build at a pace that honors your health, your family, your soul. You don't need to prove anything. You only need to live in alignment with the truth of who you are. And that truth, it's not fragile. It's not lost. It's been with you all along. You are not becoming someone new. You are returning to someone eternal. And that return may be quiet. It may take time, but it is always sacred. So if today you feel far from where you thought you'd be, I invite you to release the expectation that you need to arrive to be worthy of celebration. Celebrate the becoming. Celebrate the courage it takes to keep going. Celebrate the fact that in a world that constantly tells you to be more, you're choosing instead to be real. That matters. And so do you. You are not invisible. Your effort is not in vain. Your healing is not unnoticed. Your faithfulness, however unglamorous, is not forgotten. There are people watching you who will never tell you, but they are inspired by your resilience. There are people you are impacting simply by existing authentically. And maybe, just maybe, your life is preaching a sermon that someone else's breakthrough depends on. So don't underestimate your presence. Don't diminish your progress. And don't discount your journey just because it doesn't look like someone else's highlight reel. Comparison is a thief, and what it robs you of is not just peace, but clarity. You cannot clearly see your own life when you are constantly measuring it against a distorted view of someone else's. What they built may look beautiful, but you don't know the cost. What they carry may seem admirable, but you don't know the weight. So stay in your lane, run your race. And if today feels hard, if the road feels long, if your heart is tired, I pray that you would find rest in this truth. You are doing better than you think because you're still showing up, because you're still becoming, because you're still brave enough to hope. And that hope, it's not naive, it's revolutionary. In a world that numbs, detaches, distracts, hope is resistance. To hope is to declare, this isn't the end. To hope is to believe that there's still more growth, more joy, more purpose, and there is. So don't stop believing in it. Don't stop believing in you, even when things are quiet, even when you're overlooked, even when progress feels slow. Some seasons are not about harvesting. Some are about planting. This may be your planting season, a season of sowing seeds in faith, trusting that what's coming will be greater than what you've seen. But the soil doesn't tell the story. The seed is about to ripe. So don't judge your future by what you see right now. Hold fast to the promise. Keep tending the ground. Keep showing up to your life with openness and courage. Because every time you do, you are defying the voice that says you are not enough. You are declaring that your story is still being written. You are choosing purpose over fear. And that is the kind of choice that transforms everything. Not all at once, but over time, quietly, faithfully, beautifully. And so as I close, I want to leave you with this. Your life is not small. It may feel ordinary, but it is doing something extraordinary. Every act of kindness, every step of healing, every courageous choice, it matters. Not just in the grand scheme of things, but right now in the hearts you touch, in the energy you bring, in the spaces you show up in. You matter. You are making a difference. Even if you can't see it yet, even if no one is saying it, even if you still have questions, there is value in your presence, power in your journey, purpose in your becoming. So walk boldly, speak kindly, love deeply, rest freely, and above all, believe this. Congratulations. You are doing better than you think, and the best is still unfolding. So much of what is good in life grows quietly. Roots take hold before anyone sees the tree. The foundation is laid before the walls rise. And in the same way, your life is forming in layers, beneath the surface, in ways even you might not fully comprehend yet. But the invisible work is still real work. Some of you are building legacies and you don't even know it. You're breaking generational patterns by choosing to parent with presence, to love without control, to speak truth where silence used to dominate. You're healing things you never asked to carry, and you're doing so with grace. Maybe not perfect grace, maybe not polished or articulate, but sacred, messy, raw grace. The kind that doesn't always look like progress until you realize you're no longer triggered by what used to paralyze you. The kind that surprises you when you handle a difficult situation with a calm you never had before. The kind that allows you to forgive someone not because they changed, but because you did. That's growth. And growth rarely announces itself. It doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it shows up in whispers, in the way you pause to breathe before reacting, in the way you ask for help without shame, in the way you finally acknowledge that you deserve peace, not just productivity. This is the work that matters. The inner work, the soul work, the kind that no one may ever applaud you for, but you'll feel it. You'll feel it in your capacity to love yourself without conditions, in your ability to say no without guilt, in your courage to choose joy without waiting for permission. Let that be enough. Let that be the celebration. And if you need proof that you're evolving, look at what you've survived. Look at what didn't break you. Look at the things that once felt like endings, but actually made room for new beginnings. Look at the strength you found in seasons of scarcity, the compassion you discovered in your own brokenness, the beauty that bloomed even in pain. Yes, there were disappointments. Yes, there were delays, but none of it was wasted. None of it. Because now you know more. Now you feel more. Now you see more clearly. Wisdom isn't free. It's often paid for in tears, in silence, in letting go of things you once thought you couldn't live without. But now you carry that wisdom, not as a burden, but as a compass, and it's guiding you forward. So keep trusting it, even when the next step feels uncertain, especially then, because clarity often comes in motion. Understanding follows obedience, and the door doesn't always open until you're standing in front of it. You don't have to know everything to keep moving. You just have to know that you're not alone, because you're not. There is a presence with you, in you, guiding you, not just toward success, but toward wholeness. And wholeness is not about being unbroken. It's about being integrated. It's about owning every part of your story, the brilliant and the bruised, and still saying, I am worthy, I belong, I have purpose. That kind of self-acceptance is radical in a world that profits off your insecurity. So be radical. Love yourself fiercely. Forgive yourself often. Be patient with your process. No one gets it right all the time. No one has it all together. And anyone who says otherwise is not telling the whole story. Your journey is not meant to look like anyone else's. And that's not just okay, it's necessary. Because the world doesn't need more copies. It needs your authenticity, your perspective, your voice, your heart. That's the only way to truly contribute. Not by being who you think people want, but by being who you actually are. And that's a process, a peeling back, a relearning, a gentle unfolding. So let it unfold. Don't rush it. The speed doesn't matter as much as the substance. And you are already filled with substance, with stories, with scars that shine when light hits them right, with experiences that have shaped not just what you do, but who you are becoming. You are not empty. You are not behind. You are not too late. Every breath you take is evidence that you still have purpose, that something in this world still needs what only you can give, whether it's a word of encouragement, a piece of art, a gesture of kindness, a solution to a problem, a prayer that opens heaven over someone's life. Your presence here is not random. There is design in your days. There is divine timing in your delays. And there is deep healing in knowing that your value is not up for debate. So protect that truth. Protect your peace, even if it means disappointing others. Protect your time, even if it means saying no more often. Protect your energy, even if it means walking away from what no longer serves you. You were not created to constantly pour out without being poured into. You were not meant to give all of yourself and leave nothing for your own soul. So create rhythms that honor your humanity. Create space to rest, to breathe, to remember who you are beneath the roles and responsibilities. You are not just a parent or a professional or a provider. You are a soul with needs, with dreams, with desires that deserve to be honored. And as you honor yourself, you begin to attract relationships that do the same. You begin to see that love is not something you have to earn. It's something you are worthy of just as you are. You begin to understand that joy isn't found in external achievement, but in internal alignment. And you begin to live, truly live in a way that feels rooted and real. That is the goal. Not to impress people, not to be the busiest person in the room, not to chase a version of success that leaves you empty, but to be whole, to be present, to be deeply alive. And from that place, you can lead, you can serve, you can create and contribute in ways that are sustainable, ways that bring life not just to others, but to you, because you matter in the equation. Your joy matters, your health matters, your boundaries matter, your dreams matter. You are not here just to survive the days. You are here to live them with intention, with authenticity, with faith. So if there's a dream in your heart that won't leave you alone, trust it. If there's a passion you keep returning to, follow it. If there's a pull towards something unfamiliar but life-giving, explore it. That might be the direction of your becoming. And as you become, you inspire others to do the same. This is how change happens, not just through systems and strategies, but through people who are courageous enough to show up whole. So if you ever doubt the impact you're making, remember this: your healing is generational. Your authenticity is contagious. Your courage is catalytic. You are not just moving through life, you are shaping it with every choice, every word, every act of love. So take heart. You are doing better than you think, and you are becoming more than you know. Stay the course, hold the vision, trust the timing, and above all, keep showing up fully, freely, and faithfully, because the world needs you exactly as you are.